Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and some more Dead Man's Hand coverage here as we continue on in our series of reviewing the different factions for the game. So we started off with looking at the law, and then that naturally means the next step is going to be the outlaws, so the opposite, essentially, of these guys, right? The bad guys. And again, factions in the game aren't really overly long, right? Generally like 3 to 4 or 5 different types of characters. And from there, again, a very manageable range of weapon options and things like that. It's not like some of the other more complicated games out there where you have endless customizability. But that being said, there's still some subtle differences between the factions, and that's kind of what we're exploring here. So requirements: you do have to have a boss, just like the law has to have a sheriff. And this guy, however, does have the option between choosing a pistol or a repeater, so you can kind of customize there to have one of your basically your best piece on the board overall. Either go up close and personal with a lot of your other guys, or sit back and provide some decent ranged ability there. So he does have 5 hits, just like the sheriff, as in the law faction. Nerve on a 2-up. Shooting is also +1. But here's where there's a little bit of difference. So he's the same rep as the sheriff, but the sheriff does not have any hand-to-hand bonus. The boss does, so you can actually mix it up a little bit better in hand-to-hand. Now, you do have the option of taking a gunslinger, just like the law has the option to take it to martial. And this guy is basically just a little bit better at shooting than the boss is overall, but a little bit less in hits and nerve, but also consequently a point cheaper. He only gets a pistol, but again, 4 hits, still pretty decent. 3-up nerve, +2 to shoot is fantastic, especially up close and personal with the pistol. He's really should be doing solid damage for you, but you do want to keep him as safe as possible. Now, you do have to take at least 2+ dudes, so that's your other sort of mandatory choice. But again, the outlaws have some good variety here, just like the law does. So the law does have one more option, though, so they have access to rifles, but you do not. You have pistol or repeater, but again, up to 2 may have shotguns. So you could have either, if you're just taking the minimum 2, take your 2 shotguns if you want to be really, really deadly up close and personal, or if you're taking multiple dudes, you can get some rifles, or sorry, not rifles, but repeaters in there as well. Now, these guys also have 4 hits. Their nerve is a little bit less on 4-up, so you're definitely going to want to stick them somewhat close to other guys just to get the bonus there from proximity. And then nothing else in shooting or hand-to-hand, but also clocking in at 2 apiece. So very similar, again, to the deputies on the law faction. And then here, whereas the law has access to up to 4 outstanding citizens, you have only, as on your lower end here, basically up to 2 varmints if you want to. These guys just carry a pistol, have the 3 hits, 6-up nerve, and -1 to shoot, and -1 to hand-to-hand, and also cost -1 rep. So in that regard, very similar to citizens, except again, citizens could also be packing some shotguns. So overall, much more focused on close range fighting than the law so far. And again, we'll try and kind of keep a running commentary too on just some of these subtle faction differences. So now they do have 2 pretty cool special rules as well. So the first one, above snakes. Once per turn, a model in the outlaw gang may choose to duck back as normal, but after the duck back must take a nerve test. If passed, it doesn't actually burn your activation, but counts as a single action taken. Place a marker to indicate this, so basically 1 move marker. If the duck back is nullified by the use of the 7 card, the ability is wasted for the turn. Taunts of lily-liverness may need to be endured, or other colorful things as well. So pretty cool ability. Again, much like the law, where they have the ability to recover from under fire much easier with basically the free action there. Here you have a chance to essentially mitigate damage and potentially only burn a single action as opposed to a whole activation, right? So again, over time, if successful in that can essentially give you several free activations, basically. Now, finally then, cheating once per game. So again, going to need to be very careful on when you use this. Once per game, after all initiative cards have been revealed, with a smile on his face, the outlaw player may declare that they are cheating. They can swap one of the cards in their hand for one of their initiative cards on the table. The new card in the hand can either be played straight away or held for use later in the game. So just depending on when that is necessary, you might have put down a really great card for initiative, but it would be much better to play the effect on it. So then that makes sense to do that swap. But again, it's going to have to be timed very carefully. And you just have to choose the right moment, but could potentially be devastating, as some of the card abilities out there are incredibly powerful and can either get you out of a bad situation or take a strong position and just really amplify it for that turn. So just again, might be one that takes a little bit of practice just to get right, but certainly one that you want to keep up your sleeve, so to speak, for the right moment. And you might uh, look at, if the opponent has sort of overextended or gotten themselves into a rough situation, that might be one where if the card is right, you can capitalize on that. So overall, pretty cool. Again, suggested lists here, or kind of figuring out what specifically you want to do there. So it's ultimately going to be, do you want to kind of go more or less all in on essentially close range fighting, in which case, your boss probably would need the pistol. But if you want a little bit more of a balanced list, between your dudes and the boss, you want to maybe take as many repeaters as makes sense to take, and then have that a little bit longer range support for your other guys that are going to be mixing up in close and personal. So then, of course, the other choice is really, do you take your gunslinger or not, or do you just load up on dudes just to have more quantity, and then also consequently, maybe get multiple repeaters in there, but then also pack a couple shotguns for that extra firepower in close range. So that being said, guys, if you play Outlaws in Dead Man's Hand, let us know some of your favorite lists and some of your favorite moments with the faction. Hit us up in the comments. As always, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.